I need some money real bad. Oh, fuck.
Does this guy sound familiar, folks? Has this fella either been you or is he inhabiting you right now? Did you recently back down from some asshole who got up in your grill because you asked him to turn down his shitty music?
Curb appeal. I will body slam you so hard that you will poop your bald pants. Hear me?
Did your boss just crap all over you for not crossing your T's and dotting your I's on that report? And did you just put 2 weeks of your creativity, sweat, and hard work into a YouTube vid that the algorithm launched into the YouTubeverse with all the force and presence of a mosquito farting into a windstorm, attracting the kind of non-turnout you would expect from a Justin Trudeau appreciation rally? Or probably 9 times out of 10, it was that special young lady in your life that just tap danced on your testicles while cutting out your heart with the dick of another man. All while you begged her to take you back like the wet, beaten dog you most certainly are. Now, it's times like these I've turned to cinema. Now, not just as a place of refuge or escape, but a place of deep, meaningful personal therapy. What you need, friend, isn't a damp, wet doily and a gentle pat on the back, but a testosterone-charged 68 GT fastback injection of pure, unfiltered mojo right back into that tiny, shriveled ballsack of yours to get your sorry-ass ship corrected. Now, this episode of Acid Test Cinema is about the films and brilliant scenes that every man, and sure, even women, needs to see when they feel utterly castrated by life. Now, these are scenes that aren't just cool, but are engorged with the kind of go fuck yourself man attitude that's just the ticket for raising your head off that satin cry pillow, clawing back some of that dignity that you allowed to drain out of your wounded man beaver, and getting on with your life. And please, don't get the wrong idea here. This isn't an incel's guide to the great woman-bashing films out there. This isn't Andrew Tate on movies. Now, am I suggesting you literally take the exact actions of some of these characters? Hell no. Unless you want to recklessly endanger the lives of your fellow citizens and end up spending the rest of your years with a life partner named Adebisi.
Suck my dick now.
Far from it. If anything, this is a guide to movies that can therapeutically instill the spirit of strength and, yes, badassery to get you back on the path of living your best life. And ladies, sorry if this one comes off as a little too male-centric. Hopefully this will be entertaining nonetheless for you. Now, I do love my female audience, so let me know in the comments. If you'd like me to do a version of this with great female badasses of cinema, well, I'm only too happy to oblige. So, let's get on with it, shall we?
Popeye the Sailor probably said it best. I am what I am. I'm not exceptional. I'm just a part. 140 million human beings are born every year, give or take. Worldwide population is approximately 7.8 billion. Every second, 1.8 people die. If I'm effective, it's because of one simple fact. I don't give a fuck.
Michael Fassbender's titular character in David Fincher's The Killer is, by his own admission, a part. He's an otherwise ordinary man with a unique ability to remain completely detached from feelings, emotions, or thoughts that would otherwise hamper him in performing his kills. He simply unplugs from the noise. He's come to believe that we are, all of us, little more than grains of sand on a tiny blue rock in a vast infinite sea of black. And in the greater cosmic scheme of things, nothing we do will ever really matter or be remembered. And with this mindset, the killer is able to detach and go about his business. Then we have the case of Neil McCauley and Michael Mann's seminal crime thriller Heat.
Guy told me one time, don't let yourself get attached to anything you are not willing to walk out on in 30 seconds flat if you feel the heat around the corner. Now, if you're around me and you gotta move when I move, how do you expect to keep a marriage? De Niro's Neil McCauley lives by this code. Now, if you're gonna be a badass and live on the edge, then you can't be tying yourself to relationships and objects that are only gonna hinder your ability to remain mobile. And so, of course, Neil breaks this code of detachment over the course of the film, and look how well that turned out. Now, that may be very sound advice for some of the aspiring bank robbers in my audience, but for the rest of us, I get that it's a tad extreme. Now, the term detachment has a negative connotation in Western culture, but in Eastern philosophies and religions, like, say, Buddhism, detachment is in fact a state of being that you would want to aspire to. The idea being that people and objects in our world are impermanent and in constant flux. So, to be so attached to them as to cling to them with an iron grip is to cause yourself undue anxiety and suffering. Simply let go and attach to nothing to find your inner peace. Vincent, the hitman played by Tom Cruise in Michael Mann's Collateral, echoes this exact same sentiment.
Darwin, shit happens, I Ching, whatever, man. We gotta roll with it.
I Ching, bro, you talking about me? You threw a man out of the window.
I didn't throw him. He fell.
But what did he do to you?
What?
Sticking with Michael Mann films, it's not surprising to find another sworn oath to detachment in the brilliant precursor to Heat, 1980's Thief. Here, one of the coolest motherfuckers in cinematic history, James Caan, has a conversation with Tuesday Weld about his detached mindset to survive the horrors of prison. In one of the more brilliant displays of acting you're ever going to see, Caan's Thief describes fending off guards and inmates alike who are coming to beat the shit out of him and do much, much more.
I'm scared. 11:30, lights come on, and I got this pipe from plumbing. And I whack the first guard in the shins. I go through a convict and another convict. And anyway, I get to Morphus and I whack him across the head twice. Boom. And then they jump all over me, do a bunch of things. I spend 6 months in the hospital ward, but Morphus, he is also fucked up real good. Cerebral hematoma. They pension him out, and he can't walk straight, and he dies 2 years later, which is a real loss to the planet Earth. Meanwhile, I gotta go back into the mainstream population, and I know the minute I hit the yard, I am a dead man. So I hit the yard, so you know what happens. Nothing. I mean, nothing happens. Because I don't mean nothing to myself. I don't care about me. I don't care about nothing, you know? And then I know from that day that I survived because I achieved that mental attitude.
Now,
Khan has detached from everything. He simply doesn't give a shit about anyone or even himself, and the rest of the prison universe fucking knows it, and nobody fucks with such a man. Later, with the tentacles of the mob completely wrapped into his life, Khan must revert to the old Detachment Code by sending off his wife and child and destroying his businesses to retain complete zero and exact his wrath on those who dared fuck with him. I suspect most people viewing this will have seen Heat, but if you haven't seen Thief, see it now. As I said, it's a brilliant precursor to Heat and the perfect film to get those mojo juices flowing again.
Hey, yo!
You're sick.
You see what happened to him? Hey!
Hey, you know, if I wasn't a nice guy, I'd
Come on, Chito pay for you. Come on. Come on, trouble like that. Come on.
Bitch.
What I try to tell you?
Lesbian.
What I try to tell you? This country, you gotta make the money first. Then when you get the money, you get the power. Then when you get the power, then you get the woman. That's why you gotta make your own moves.
First you get the money, then you get the power, and then you get the women. Tony Montana is locked and loaded to get his version of the American dream, and no one's getting in his way for him to achieve that. Sure, he'd like to pick up one of those string bikini hotties on South Beach, but he knows that can't be the mission of his life. Sure, the girls will be there for him in the end as a reward for his life moves, but he, like the rest of us, needs to have a mission. And just a side note here, fellas, if your lady becomes your mission, well then you're simply fucked and destined to be miserable. Not even women themselves want to be your mission. It just comes off as desperate and clingy. Pretty much every woman I've ever known is attracted to a man with a plan. Now, whether it's Captain Willard's journey up the Nung River, well past the Bridget Dolung, to terminate, with extreme prejudice, the Commander Walter E. Kurtz on Apocalypse Now, or Edward Fox as the lethal assassin in Fred Zinnemann's Day of the Jackal as he ruthlessly, methodically makes a plan to account for every contingency in his efforts to assassinate French President Charles de Gaulle. Again, I'm obviously not advocating here for assassination, but in the attention to detail and planning, there's a lot we can learn from this guy. Or in the world of business and finance, we have the great Gordon Gekko, played to perfection by Michael Douglas in Oliver Stone's Wall Street. Now, Gekko, as ruthless a businessman as any of the aforementioned killers, lays out his code steeped in the art of war to a young Charlie Sheen.
I bet on sure things. Read Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Every battle is won before it's ever fought. Think about it. You're not as smart as I thought you were, buddy boy. You ever wonder why fund managers can't beat the S&P 500? Because they're sheep. And sheep get slaughtered. I've been in this business since '69. Most of these Harvard MBA types, they don't add up to dog shit. Give me guys that are poor, smart, and hungry, and no feelings. You win a few, you lose a few, but you keep on fighting. And if you need a friend, get a dog.
Now, sure, Gekko's a narcissistic snake if ever there was one, but with this attitude, how likely is it that this guy is ever going to end up working a car wash or bawling into his cry pillow because some chick called him a loser? And returning to Michael Mann's Collateral, Vincent's brutal dissection of Max's mediocre life should be a warning to us all.
Look in the mirror. Paper towels, a clean cab, limo company someday. How much you got saved?
That ain't none of your business.
Someday my dream will come. One night you'll wake up and you'll discover it never happened. It's all turned around on you. It never will. Suddenly you are old. It didn't happen. And it never will because you were never going to do it anyway. You're pushing into memory that zone out in your Barco lounger, being hypnotized by daytime TV for the rest of your life. So don't you talk to me about murder. And all it ever took was a down payment on a Lincoln Town car. That girl, you can't even call that girl. What the fuck are you still doing driving a cab?
What the fuck are you still doing driving a cab? Wake up, boys, go get yourself a mission and stick to it.
It's getting near dawn. When lights close the tired eyes, I'll soon be with you, my love.
That's Bobby De Niro in one of the most badass scenes ever committed to film in Martin Scorsese's brilliant gangster opus, Goodfellas. De Niro's Jimmy Conway simply sits at the bar, smokes a ciggy, and has a look in those eyes that tells us someone's days are most certainly coming to an end. A slow push in, all perfectly married to Cream's Sunshine of Your Love. Every time I hear this song, all I can think of is De Niro and those psycho eyes simply sitting there, having a smoke and plotting out the demise of others. Now, who's gonna fuck with this guy? Sticking with Bobby D, let's take a look at another standout performance in Michael Cimino's The Deer Hunter. If The Godfather scene is one of cinema's coolest, then surely the most brutally intense moment is this sequence in The Deer Hunter, where a captured De Niro and Chris Walken are forced to play Russian roulette against each other for their Viet Cong captors. Now, De Niro knows there's only one way out of this, and he summons his inner psychopath to laugh in the face of death and load even more bullets into the revolver. It's a calculated risk with the odds stacked against him, but he knows it's the only way out, and he draws on his inner crazy man to pull it off.
We do 3, huh? 1, 2, 3, 3.
Yep.
Yep. 3. Chính ngay chứ ăn này.
So probably here, once again, I need to do a PSA and put this into some kind of perspective. Now, am I championing psychopathy? No. But within all of us, we have what Carl Jung referred to as the shadow aspect of our minds. That dark, violent, primal part of us that we, for the most part, keep mostly suppressed and hidden from others. And, let's be honest. There's times in life when the beast just needs to be released from its cage. Now, I have certainly gone Mr. Hyde mode on a few occasions, if not to take extreme action where action was certainly warranted, then to simply deliver a much-needed warning to back the fuck off. Who would you rather pattern yourself after in this rather stressful, high-speed chase across Los Angeles while being shot at? This guy,
Sons of bitches.
or this crazy mother flower who actually appears to be enjoying the rush of it all while reminiscing about bungee jumping off the Vincent Thomas Bridge. The late great William Friedkin's To Live and Die in LA is an absolute dark little gem of a film from 1985 that has to be considered one of the very best, most underrated films of the 80s, certainly by my lights anyway. For my money, this is in fact Friedkin's very best film. And that's saying something. Consider, he made both The Exorcist and The French Connection. Now, if you haven't seen it, fucking see it. It stars an unknown at the time William L. Peterson as Treasury Agent Richard Chance, with more than just a few loose screws and the moral compass of a starving hyena, trying to bust counterfeiter Rick Masters, played by a baby-faced Willem Dafoe. Both of these young actors are absolutely riveting here, but it's the Chance character I want to focus on. This is a completely self-indulgent cop who uses one of his informants as a sex toy, bungee jumps off bridges for kicks, steals evidence at crime scenes, and concocts a plan to kidnap and rip off one criminal so he can come up with enough front money to purchase counterfeit bills to bust another. And this guy isn't even the villain of the film. But to watch Chance operate with his balls totally out there just by the seat of his pants, and sometimes just for the hit of the adrenaline rush, is really, really something to behold. I fucking love this guy. Now, I could never be him, at least for any sustained stretch without getting myself killed, but the attraction to such an insane, free-spirited character is absolutely undeniable. Side note here, I actually saw this in a crappy little theater when it first came out, and I happened to have been at the time at an all-time low. See, now I was both recovering from a bout of mono, and my hot little blonde high school girlfriend who gave it to me, I just dumped my sorry ass and went back to the abusive ass clown I had stolen her from, of course. And in a pretty piss-poor state did I ever need this film and this character in particular. You know, I wonder how her life turned out.
Cash or charge? Cash. John, aren't you gonna ask me how I like this?
Mickey Rourke might be indulging the sizzling hot Kim Basinger on a clothing spending spree, but the truth is, he doesn't give a shit if she likes the clothes or not. He's doing this for his own pleasure and could care less what she thinks. Adrian Lyne's 9.5 Weeks stars the 80s answer to James Dean, Mickey Rourke, before burning every bridge in Hollywood and coming up with the really bright idea to loan out his face as a punching bag. And Kim Basinger as his lady friend who both fucked the living shit out of each other for, you guessed it, 9.5 weeks, in the kind of hot mind warp of a tryst that sorry-ass bald-headed old coots like me could only dream of. Now, this probably isn't your go-to film if you're looking to settle down and have kids with a life partner, but if the plan is something a little more racy and hot, well, you could do a lot worse than a film that has the reputation for being the cinematic equivalent of Spanish Fly. Rourke's character John has seduction methods that may, to most, seem counterproductive, in his seduction of Basinger's Elizabeth. To most of us slugs, that is, with little to no game anyway. But John refuses to play the part of the pleasing simp, the super agreeable nice guy card. He keeps Elizabeth in the dark about his work life and personal history, refuses to meet her friends and family, leaves her hanging atop a stopped Ferris wheel, feeds her a burning hot chili pepper while she's blindfolded, forces her to crawl on hands and knees, picking up dollar bills he flicks on the floor, it's a really great demeaning scene, and purchases a horsewhip presumably to be used on Elizabeth, and pays for a hooker to feel her up while she's blindfolded, all for his own demented sweet pleasure. And of course, Elizabeth is completely entranced by him, as is the entire female audience who may never really verbally condone this level of bad behavior, but can't help but be completely smitten with him nonetheless. In James Foley's 1992 film Glengarry Glen Ross, corporate badass Blake, here played by Alec Baldwin, takes the idea of not being a pleaser to its nth degree as he delivers the company ultimatum to a motley collection of downtrodden salesmen.
Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only. You think I'm fucking with you? I am not fucking with you. I'm here from downtown. I'm here from Mitch and Murray. And I'm here on a mission of mercy. Your name's Levine? Yeah. You call yourself a salesman, you son of a bitch? I don't gotta listen to this shit. You certainly don't, pal. Because the good news is you're fired. The bad news is you've got just 1 week to regain your job, starting with tonight. Starting with tonight's sit. Oh, have I got your attention now?
I guess he never got the note to open with a joke and win over the audience. Kevin Spacey, in his Academy Award-winning role of Lester Burnham in Sam Mendes' American Beauty, has for much of his adult life played the role of a compliant worker drone for his company. And, of course, a dutiful doormat to his demanding, high-maintenance bitch wife. Until the day he suddenly decides to say, fuck that, and start living for himself. Asked to present an essay to his employer, in essence to detail his value to the company, or kiss corporate ass to save his job, Lester drops the nice guy routine and goes the less conventional route.
My job consists of basically masking my contempt for the assholes in charge, and at least once a day retiring to the men's room so I can jerk off while I fantasize about a life that doesn't so closely resemble hell. Well, you obviously have no interest in saving yourself.
Brad, for 14 years I've been a whore for the advertising industry. The only way I could save myself now is if I start firebombing.
Whatever. Management wants you gone by the end of the day.
Well, just what sort of severance package is management prepared to offer me, considering the information I have about our editorial director buying pussy with company money, which I think would interest the IRS since it technically constitutes fraud, and I'm sure that some of our advertisers and rival publications might like to know about it as well, not to mention Craig's wife.
And as for his high-maintenance wife, played by Annette Bening,
What the hell do you think you're doing?
Uh-oh. Mom's mad. Bench presses. I'm going to wail on my pecs, and then I'm going to do my back.
I see you're smoking pot now. I'm so glad. I think using illegal psychotropic substances is a very positive example to set for our daughter.
You're one to talk, you bloodless, money-grubbing freak.
Lester, you have such hostility in you.
You mind? I'm trying to work out here. Unless you want to spot me.
Lester, you will not get away with this. You can be sure of that.
What you think.
Now that's what I'm talking about. Sticking with Spacey, Hollywood's favorite punching bag. Yeah, come on, cut the man a little slack. He's been found not guilty in every one of those slanderous trials. Spacey has never been cooler than as Sergeant Jack Vincennes in Curtis Hansen's magnificent LA Confidential. Here, a slick cop with some degree of fame for his much publicized busts in Hollywood is reassigned to the less glamorous Vice Squad.
Very well done. Look who's back from suspension.
Here, Jack.
We're honored, Sergeant Jack.
Oh, look at that. The great jerk-off case of 1953.
There's someplace you'd rather be, Vincennes?
Yeah, working narcotics, looking for Mickey Cohen's missing H.
Yeah, finding 25 pounds of heroin would get you plenty of ink. Maybe you should have thought of that before Bloody Christmas.
As for cinema's classic pleasers and ass-kissers, I can't help but think of John C. McGinley's portrayal of O'Neill in Oliver Stone's Platoon.
Oh, that is one sorry-ass motherfucker. What do you say there, Bob? Guy like that make it? Yes or no? Uh-huh. I have to tell you, that's precisely what I saw. I mean, sometimes I just look at a guy, And I know this fella's not gonna make it.
Just no fucking way.
Could this clown get his tongue any further up Tom Berenger's ass? I mean, this kind of groveling hero worship just gives me deuce chills. And you could just see the look of disdain for this sycophant on Berenger's face. Nobody likes an ass kisser, boys. Finally, sticking with Oliver Stone films, we have the all but forgotten gem from the 80s, talk radio. Here, Eric Bogosian, in a role he was absolutely born to play as late-night shock jock Barry Champlain, he absolutely thrives on shitting on his audience. And you just have to love this one scene where Barry absolutely castrates one of his many ass-kissing sycophants.
I have many friends who are Jewish.
No, really, how many?
Well, 3 or 4.
I wouldn't call that many.
They're very nice people. They're very educated and they're good at business.
Yeah, John, I don't know how to break this to you, but you never got into the B'nai breath. I mean, you're black. Don't you know how Jews feel about blacks? They hate you. They see you Schwarzes on the street, they cross to the other side. I mean, you know those slums in South Dallas where the rats eat little babies for breakfast? Jews own those slums. What do you mean I love Jews? Are you some kind of Uncle Tom or something?
Well, what the hell do you know about Uncle Tom? I think Brotherhood
I
is the
don't
foundation
care
of...
what you think. No one does. You want to know why? Because you're trying to kiss the master's butt, that's why.
What?
You call me up, you're trying to get deep with me how much you love Jews. You're lying. You hate them. You hate me. Admit it.
I don't kiss nobody's butt.
Sure you do. You kiss my butt. You're kissing it right now. If you weren't, you'd hang up on me.
I don't want to hang up on you.
Then I'll do you the favor. Night talk.
I love it. When in doubt, if you're gonna model yourself after any of cinema's tough customers, this would be the guy. Steve McQueen, known as Hollywood's king of cool, was an absolute American icon during the 60s and 70s. And if you're feeling like an emasculated, dickless weakling, McQueen and his various films may be just the antidote you're looking for. If the automobile equivalent to James Bond would be the sleek and graceful contours of an Aston Martin, then the pure muscle of a Mustang GT 390 fastback would surely be McQueen's. Whether playing a gunfighter in The Magnificent Seven, a wisecracking American POW in The Great Escape, a millionaire playboy thief in the Thomas Crown Affair, or the cool as ice cop in Bullet, McQueen's filmography should be required viewing for young men everywhere. And even old farts like me looking to reclaim their balls and stimulate a little testosterone flowage. Now check out McQueen's portrayal of POW Captain Hiltz in John Sturges' The Great Escape. Here giving a good old-fashioned American fuck you with a smile to the German commandant.
What were you doing, Basilio?
Well, like I told Max, I was trying to cut my way through your wire because I want to get out.
Durchsuchen Sie ihn.
Bitte.
You speak German?
Jawohl, Herr Oberst.
Wire cutters.
Jawohl, Herr Oberst.
I have had the pleasure of knowing quite a number of British officers in this war, and I flatter myself that we understand one another. You are the first American officer I've met. Hiltz, isn't it?
Captain Hiltz, actually.
17 escape attempts.
18, sir.
Tunnelman, engineer.
Flyer.
I suppose what's called in the American Army a hotshot pilot. Unfortunately, you were shot down anyway. So we are both grounded for the duration of the war.
Well, you speak for yourself, Colonel.
You have other plans?
I haven't seen Berlin yet, from the ground or from the air, and I plan on doing both before the war is over.
Are all American officers so ill-mannered?
About 99%.
Then perhaps while you are with us, you will have a chance to learn some. 10 days isolation hills.
Captain Hills.
20 days.
Right. Oh, you'll still be here when I get out.
Cooler.
In the face of authority, the potential of severe punishment, Hiltz remains playful and unaffected. Sure, you can send me to the cooler for as long as you want, no skin off my nose, and I still plan on seeing Berlin by the air before this war is over. Peter Yates' 1968 classic Bullet features what many believe to be is the greatest car chase ever put to film, and stars Steve McQueen as Frank Bullet, a tough San Francisco cop that's cooler than the other side of the proverbial pillow. Check out this scene where Robert Vaughn, always perfect in the role of a dickhead politician, attempts to give McQueen shit when a government star witness against the mob, whom McQueen was charged with protecting, gets gunned down.
Now, what went wrong, Lieutenant?
Who else knew where he was?
What?
Who else knew where he was?
What are you implying?
Well, they knew where to look for him, and they used your name to get in.
Are you suggesting I disclosed his whereabouts?
Well, somebody did, and it didn't come from us.
That's hardly the issue.
Well, it certainly is. I've got an officer with a family, and he's shot up pretty bad.
And I've got a witness who can't talk.
I want to know about Ross. What was the deal you made with him?
Deal? Lieutenant, don't try to evade the responsibility. In your parlance, you blew it. You knew the significance of his testimony, yet you failed to take adequate measures to protect him. So to you, it was a job, no more. Were it more? And you the dedication I was led to believe?
You believe what you want. You work your side of the street, and I'll work mine.
McQueen remains professional, but unyielding here as Vaughn unsuccessfully attempts to dress him down. The politician may very well have all the power here, but McQueen refuses to be subordinate. He stays calm and looks Vaughn right back in the eye. As I alluded to earlier, Bullet's car chase through the hilly streets of San Francisco set the bar for modern film car chases. Well over 50 years later, it's still an absolute adrenaline rush of high-octane ball juice. Now that's just the ticket for sorry saps everywhere to rediscover their manhood. Not using any phony rear projection for the car interior shots, the bumper-mounted cameras, filmed entirely on location, which was a very unusual practice back then, and the dropping out of the music soundtrack during the chase, all we get is the animal roar of the fastback Mustang pitted against the barking engine of the Dodge Charger. All of this made for a truly fresh and riveting experiences for audiences back in 1968. And check out the calm, detached demeanor of McQueen as he recklessly chases the Chargers through the streets of San Fran. Now you'd think he was playing a round of Texas Hold'em while narrowly missing pedestrians and other vehicles. And yes, folks, McQueen, who had experience racing cars and motorbikes, did much of his own driving here. Here is race car driver Michael Delaney in Lee H. Katz's Le Mans. McQueen reveals his life philosophy about racing.
What is so important about driving faster than anyone else?
lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing's important to men who do it well. When you're racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
And you really get a sense that this is pretty damn close to McQueen's personal code as well. Not only was this guy into professional motor racing, he was also reputed to be a pretty tough street fighter. Legend has it, upon meeting Bruce Lee, McQueen challenged him to a no-holds-barred, anything-goes fight in his backyard. Now, apparently, Lee landed an opening kick to McQueen's head, which barely fazed him. And after a few minutes, Lee brought the fight to an end with a kick to McQueen's solar plexus. But man, what balls on this guy. He just had to test his mettle against Bruce fucking Lee. And on the subject of Steve McQueen, here's what the Kung Fu master had to say about him.
Which was the best? Who adapted best to this Oriental form of exercise and defense?
Well, depending, okay? Now, as a fighter, Steve McQueen, now, he is good in that department because that son of a gun got the toughness in him.
Yeah, you see it on the screen.
I mean, he would say, all right, baby, here I am, man.
Playing the part of Thomas Crown in Norman Jewison's The Thomas Crown Affair, McQueen trades in his leather jacket or his inflammable racing gear for tailor-made three-piece suits, as he effortlessly plays the role of a cool millionaire who plans out bank heists with meticulous detail just for kicks. Here, while playing golf with friends, Crown makes a bold wager that he can reproduce for a second time a killer shot out of the sand trap.
Whoa, whoa. Too bad, too bad, too bad. Tough shot, tough shot.
Oh, that's too bad, Tommy. You almost made it.
Almost. Now, another grand.
Even money?
Mm-hmm.
That's a sucker bet. You're faded. That's $2 grand for you if you drop it in. 1,020 for me if you miss.
Drop. Oh.
You're mad. Absolutely mad.
What else can we do on Sunday?
And wow, that didn't go exactly as we thought it would. I actually love this because Crown is shown to be less than superhuman. Sure, he misses the second shot. That's what would have happened to 99% of all of us. Personally, I might have thrown my golf club into the trees, but McQueen just smiles and doesn't give a shit. If you're gonna take risky bets, be prepared to lose and do so with a little grace and a sense of humor. Later in the library of his mansion, he's playing a game of cat and mouse with sexy investigator Faye Dunaway. He knows she wants to bust him, but there's clearly a sexual spark here between the two as well. McQueen elects to play this dangerous game nonetheless. Watch the eye contact, the smile, the economy of words as he quite coolly plays this game on a razor's edge.
You do live very well, don't you?
No complaints.
It'd be a shame to have to give all this up. Wouldn't it?
Just fucking love that scene. Other great Steve McQueen films include The Magnificent Seven, The Cincinnati Kid, The Sand Pebbles, The Getaway, Papillon, and The Towering Inferno. Check them all out to see the absolute king of cool in action. When feeling at your lowest, this is the guy you want to model yourself after, gentlemen. In closing, there's a very famous quote from Steve McQueen about his life code that all of us should take to heart. Here immortalized in this poster: I live for myself and answer to nobody. God bless Steve McQueen. That is all.